Our national anthem was penned just a few miles from Baltimore's Camden Yards. Mitch Moreland has been celebrating by launching a few rockets of his own against the Orioles. With 4 home runs in just 2 days, Mitch is one of the hottest hitters in baseball. Can he keep launching bombs in Baltimore? We'll find out next as Nick Martinez and your Rangers take on the Orioles on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T UVerse TV. Now, relatively clear skies tonight over Oriole Park in Camden Yards. A little warm and a little muggy, but apparently that's just the way the Rangers like it. They look to make it 3 in a row over the Birds here tonight in Game 3 of this 4-game series. And welcome in, everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Wednesday night of Ranger baseball. And indeed, the Rangers have enjoyed the humid air here in Baltimore. They've been launching rockets, as you saw, by Mitch Moreland. And Mitch has gone completely crazy in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I think Mitch likes hitting in this ballpark for sure. And kind of put the finishing touches on a very nice month of June. It's been a good season for Mitch. It's been a great month of June. In the first game, he had a couple of home runs, a couple of long home runs. The first one actually wasn't a long home run. It was a line shot right down the right field line that on review is called a home run. The second one was a bomb to right center field, probably 430 feet. Last night's game, the Rangers are down by a couple of runs. Mitch's home run in the second inning tied the game at 2. Almost onto Utah Street. The next one probably wasn't his longest. In fact, I don't think he thought that was going to be a home run. It just barely cleared the fence in left field. It gave him 4 home runs in 2 days. Helped make him the Ranger June Player of the Month. For the month, 9 home runs, 25 knocked in. Pretty good month for Mitch.
Great month. Matter of fact, a lot of people take that for a career, but Mitch is putting up numbers when he's healthy, and this is the first June that he's been healthy in a while. He is putting up numbers the Rangers really appreciate. Well, we will come back to Camden Yards to give you the starting lineups from the first pitch of Game 3 between the Rangers and the Baltimore Orioles right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T UVerse TV. UVerse has more live TV channels on the go than cable. By Budweiser. Make a plan to make it home. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. A warm, muggy, breezy evening here in Baltimore before we get things started in Game 3 of this 4-game series. Let's head down and check in with John Ratty.
Yeah, thanks, Buzz. There was a slight gasp when the observers saw the lineup card with no Josh Hamilton in it. He is not in the lineup, but Jeff Bannister said he didn't re-injure himself. It was all part of the master plan.
We talked about the first day back that we'd give him the 24 hours, kind of that travel day. We'd play him the first day and give him the second day off just to manage the hamstring and his legs and overall energy level.
And I had a chance to talk to Josh, too. He says he really doesn't feel the hamstring at all when he walks or does normal activity, and that when he does feel it on the field of play, he's just able to, at least so far, back off slightly and not take it to that level where he might re-injure it. So that's pretty good news, guys.
All right, John, thank you. Yeah, if you manage it like that, that's great. Hanser Alberto starting things off here tonight, leading off for the Rangers, and he takes ball one from Wei-Yin Chen. Alberto at .265 with the average, no home runs, 3 driven in, and it's been a while since we have seen Hanser in the lineup. He had not started since the 21st. It was his last start. That was in the game against the Chicago White Sox. He's played in just 2 of his last 8 ball games. Trying to bunt his way aboard, and that's bunted foul behind the plate back into the seats. And the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes. Now, Wei-Yin Chen, the scouting report on the left-hander. He's around the strike zone with all 3 of these pitches that he throws a lot. Fastball, slider, curveball. Hitters trying to have him pin down what he's going to try and get ahead with early in the ball game and then try and be aggressive against him. He's got good enough stuff where you don't want to have him pitching ahead in the count all the time to you. You try to make Buck Showalter's left-hander work from behind in the count, if possible. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Off the fist, down toward first, and Parmalee underhanding to Chen, covering. That is out number 1. Now, Tom's going to tell you about the rest of the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers lineup.
Oh, you just saw the leadoff hitter, Hanser Alberto. Elvis Andrus has moved up to the 2nd spot in the lineup. Prince Fielder is the DH. He hits 3rd. Adrian Beltre is at 3rd base. Mitch Moreland bats 5th. Ryan Rua is in left field hitting 6th. Shin-Soo Choo is the right fielder. Robinson Chirinos is the catcher. And batting 9th, the center fielder, Leonis Martin.
And Jeff Bannister's club coming into play tonight at 40-33. This is the 79th game of the year. They are 5 games behind the Houston Astros in that American League West. Rangers now in 3rd place. They have been the 3rd place team for the last 3 days, trailing not only the Astros but the Los Angeles Angels. Elvis Andrus takes ball 1. Andrus at .247. Elvis 3 home runs, 27 driven in. He has had the most success of any Ranger hitter against Chen in the past. Saw the numbers for Elvis. He has gone 6 for 11. That's a .545 average. Chen, of course, a perfect 4-0 against the Rangers in his previous starts. And that pitch fouled back to make it a 2-1 count. Elvis 6 out of 19 on the road trip. He has hit safely in 6 of his last 8 ball games in a .344 clip. Rounded sharply to short. And J.J. Hendrick makes it 2 outs. And with 2 outs, we'll take a look at the rest of the Orioles defense for you tonight. Same outfit as last night. Snyder in left, Jones in center. Davis is in right. Parmalee at first. Flaherty and Hardy up the middle. Manny Machado is at 3rd, and Caleb Joseph is catching tonight with Matt Wieters not catching back-to-back games quite yet for the Orioles. No 2 outs, bases empty. Prince Fielder handling DH chores tonight. Prince second in the American League in batting, and he pops one way up in the air. Third baseman Machado makes the grab, and it's a very quick and easy 1-2-3 inning for Wei-Yin Chen. Rangers out in order after a half inning. Rangers nothing. Orioles coming up. Lineup tonight.
Orioles again will lead off with Manny Machado, their third baseman. Jimmy Paredes is the DH. Adam Jones is playing center field and batting third. Chris Davis is in right field. Chris Parmalee is the first baseman. J.J. Hardy will hit sixth. He's the shortstop. Travis Snyder's in left field. Caleb Joseph is the catcher. And batting ninth is Ryan Flaherty, the second baseman.
And that lineup will be facing the 24-year-old right-hander Nick Martinez. Martinez from the Miami area by way of Fordham University. And he deals strike one. Our progressive scouting report. Nick trying to shake off the effects of a couple of poor outings for him. Ground ball foul by Machado. And the count is 0-2. Good start to the ball game tonight will really help Nick's confidence. Not that he is lacking in much, but you can always use a boost when you haven't had things go your way. He'll try to be aggressive against this very aggressive team. And by that I mean working in the strike zone early to try and get them a little bit defensive in their hitting philosophy. You give these guys an opportunity to hit 1-0, 2-0 all the time on you, they're going to have a lot of success. 1-2 pitch. Did he go? Yes, he did. And Nick strikes out Machado to get things underway.
Everything was away until that last sinker down and in. And really, you could tell the location of that pitch really fooled Machado.
Now let's take a look at the Ranger defense for you. It's brought to you tonight by Chicken Express. Outfield for the Rangers tonight. Ryan Rua gets a start in left field. Leonis Martin in center. Shin-Soo Choo in right. Moreland at first. Hanser Alberto at second, along with Elvis Andrus at short. Adrian Beltre at third, and Robinson Chirinos is catching tonight for Nick Martinez. Jimmy Paredes is handling the DH chores once again. Paredes, a .316 average. He's a switch hitter. And Nick Martinez pounded that strike zone early. He has only thrown one pitch out of the strike zone, and he's got an 0-2 count on Paredes.
Yeah, and against any team, but especially in this ballpark, walks and being behind in the count will really hurt you. Definitely true in this ballpark. Boy, 2 up, 2 down with strikeouts for Nick.
How about back-to-back punch-outs?
Nice. Look at the target and lay the ball. Robinson said, okay, we're ahead. No balls and 2 strikes. Let's try to get him to swing at a high fastball. And he did, and he missed it.
No, Nick Martinez punching out both Manny Machado and Jimmy Paredes. And with 2 outs, bases empty, Adam Jones now will step in. Jones, a .292 average with 10 home runs and 37 driven in. 1 ball, no strikes. Against the Rangers, very familiar foe. 63 ball games for Adam Jones, and he pounds one fair down the left field line. And it looks like that's going to be extra bases. The throw will come into third, and Adam Jones with a 2-out double. In scoring position now for Chris Davis.
I've talked about Jones a lot. You know he's going to be swinging. He doesn't walk. He's one of those guys that if you miss, you want to miss out of the strike zone. You probably get him to swing at it. But if you miss with your slider in the middle of the plate, he's definitely going to hit it solidly.
Well, the first base runner of the night for either team. A 2-out double gets Jones aboard. Now Chris Davis. Davis had a big night last night. A 2-home-run evening. Check swing on a slow breaking ball. It is 1-0. Chris now 18 home runs, 49 runs driven in. And Davis has increased the season-long batting streak to 10 straight ball games. He's been a .351 hitter in those 10 games. 1 for 5 against Nick Martinez with a home run. Nick, a couple of checks at second. And the ball hit into the shift. It's going to be Hanser Alberto thrown to Nick covering, and Martinez gets the put out at first. As the shift comes into play, Alberto in shallow right field. A nice play. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. We played an inning here in Baltimore. Rangers nothing, Orioles nothing. Doing a little cheerleading from his seat on the bench. Nice play to end the bottom of the first inning. Nick Martinez covering first and taking a throw from shallow right field for the out.
It's one of those plays, Buzz. It's a good thing he was out at first because Adam Jones was going to score from second base easily as long as it took for that play to develop.
Yeah. Adrian Beltre starting things off. It's the middle third of the Ranger order here in the second. Beltre hitting at .255. 6 home runs, 20 driven in. Just 2 for 11 against Chen, and he skies one to shallow center. Shortstop Hardy backpedaling, and JJ makes the catch for out number 1. Well, folks, fill out your 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot right now. Voting closes tomorrow at 10:59 p.m. Visit TexasRangers.com/vote and vote for the Rangers as your favorite or second favorite team. You'll get an offer for 50% off select games in August or September. Head to the web and send Fielder, Moreland, and Beltre to the All-Star Game. A 1 out, and here is Mitch Moreland. Strike one. Mitch with 14 home runs now. He is the team leader, having assumed the leadership role with 4 home runs in the last 2 days. And his RBI total up there at 43.
Well, Chen went right after him the first 2 pitches, belt high fastballs.
Now, Mitch has had no success, as you saw, against Wei Yin Chen. 0 for 5 with a strikeout in past matchups. The left-hander back to the plate. Got him swinging.
Chen has a good fastball, 92 to 94 miles an hour. He's not just a finesse lefty who tries to trick you. He can definitely get you out with his fastball. Mitch saw 3 straight fastballs in that at bat. First 2 were strikes. Next one, he got him to chase one a little bit out of the strike zone. 4-seam fastball. There it is.
Right exactly where Caleb Joseph set the glove. 2 gone. Here is Ryan Rua, getting a start in left field tonight. Jeff Master trying to get an extra right-handed bat or 2 in the lineup. Rua and Alberto, both right-handed hitters in the lineup. There's a high drive to left field. Going back is Snyder. He is at the track and makes the catch. And the Rangers down again. A 1-2-3 fashion. 6 straight sent down by Chen. We finished an inning and a half. No score. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your Texas Ford dealer now for great deals on America's best-selling brand. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Now Chris Parmelee stepping in to begin the bottom of the second for the Orioles. And Nick Martinez firing strike one. Parmelee, a .298 hitter with 4 home runs. He has driven in half a dozen. Pitch just outside. A ball and a strike. Parmelee had his contract purchased from AAA by the Orioles back on June 16th. Orioles looking for that left-handed bat that they could add to their lineup. Parmelee, who was a former #1 pick with the Minnesota Twins, falling on hard times in Minnesota, and Orioles got him a minor league contract and played well at AAA. Batted .312 with the Orioles AAA affiliate this year, and 61 ball games, drove in 32.
Well, you know, Buzz is a #1 draft choice. Obviously, the scouts thought he had a lot of talent. Sometimes, for a number of reasons, it doesn't work out with the first team that you're with. He's still a young player. The Orioles acquired him, and chances are he could be one of those guys that has a nice career and blooms with the second team that he's with.
He draws a leadoff walk here in the second inning. And Nick missing very high with a fastball, and there's one aboard with nobody out. J.J. Hardy coming up. Hardy, a .250 hitter, 3 home runs, 18 driven in, 1 out of 5 against Nick Martinez in past matchups. And Nick will go to work on Parmalee at first. Hardy in this series has gone 2 for 5. He was 1 for 3 in last night's game with a walk, scored a run also. And Nick, another quick move over there. J.J. Hardy, a modest 3-game hitting streak coming into play here tonight. Month of June was very kind to J.J. Hardy. .307 average. And Nick just missing the outside corner. 1 ball and no strikes. Mentioned last night, J.J. Hardy, all kinds of physical problems. The end of spring training caused him to start the year on the disabled list. He got himself back going. He has been improving week by week. Came back off the disabled list May 7th. He had that left shoulder strain that hampered him right up until the last week of spring training. Parmalee, the runner at first. Both Parmalee and J.J. Hardy checking with Bobby Dickerson down there at third base. Now the 1-1. That is in for a strike, and it's 1-2. Now Nick Martinez, not a lot of great memories of Oriole Park in Camden Yards. John Radigan telling you almost exactly a year ago in this ballpark. Hardy, a little pop-up on the left side. Beltre and Andrews. And it's Elvis to make the catch for out number 1.
Good comeback after the walk of Parmalee. Made some good pitches to Hardy. Got ahead in the count. Threw him the off-speed pitch. Hardy lunged at it and just hit that weak pop-up.
Exactly 1 year ago today, the 1st of July of 2014. Nick got the start here, worked 5 innings, gave up 8 runs and 7 hits in that ball game. It, will not sit well in your memory banks, but can't do anything about that except make sure this one isn't a carbon copy. Double play ground ball, Alberto, Andrews, and back to Moreland. 4-6-3, and that'll erase a lot of bad memories. Leadoff walk to be exact. After 2 innings of play, we are still scoreless.
points that any fan can have out here, standing right behind both of the bullpens. I'm in the domain of Andy Hawkins, the Rangers bullpen coach, who 25 years ago today was a part of baseball history. One of just 3 major league pitchers to pitch a no-hitter and lose the game. In fact, Andy's Yankees lost that day 4-0. He had a no-hitter into the 8th inning, and then in the 8th there were 2 errors and there were 2 walks, and they scored 3 runs, and Andy Hawkins wound up getting the loss in a game that was a no-hitter. He says that in that game he had his best stuff that he's ever had, and he felt bad obviously about the loss. He says the next game he went home, pitched for the Yankees again against the Twins, and he no-hit the Twins for 5 innings. He pitched a shutout until the 11th inning and lost it in 12, 2-0. He says it's the best 2 games he's ever pitched, and he was 0-2, guys.
That's unbelievable. I saw the replays of that on TV this afternoon, and the first ball was hit to Jim Ladrix, who was playing left field, and he looked like a fan trying to catch pop-ups before the game on a pitching machine. Turned about 4 different directions, dropped it. The one that Jesse Barfield missed, he actually lost in the sun, hit off his glove.
Chu drives one to right field. Way back, Davis watching this one. Goodbye. 3rd straight game for Shin-Soo Choo and a home run, and the Rangers lead it 1-0.
Oh, he's got his stroke done. You could tell watching him in batting practice. Nice, smooth, confident swing. The ball just jumping off his bat.
Shin-Soo Choo is now 3 for 5 against Wei-Yin Chen, and they have all left the ballpark.
Wow, figure that out. Pretty good left-handed pitcher, but he gets that one middle of the plate and up. And right now, Shin-Soo, the way he's swinging, he is taking advantage of good pitches to hit.
Well, the Rangers with their 9th home run in the first 3 games of this series. Look at the carry on that ball off the bat of Shin-Soo Choo right over the 373 mark.
It doesn't look like it matters to Shin-Soo where he hits in the lineup either. He's moved down to the 7th spot in the lineup, getting the job there. Hey, the little girl in the red caught that one. No,
well, you'd have a headline then in that case.
Prodigy.
Yep. Well, Shin-Soo Choo with his 11th home run of the year gets the Rangers on top and gets some Ranger fans happy out there. Robinson Chirinos now at the plate. 3-0 pitch, and that is right down the middle. Robinson a home run last night, his 8th of the year. He now has 27 RBI, hitting at .213. And Chen misses outside, ball 4. Well, the home run followed by a walk, 1 aboard, nobody out. Leonis Martin coming up, and we're going to send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. Thank you, Dana. Well, the Rangers at it again here in Baltimore. A solo home run from Shin-Soo Choo. Leonis dropping a good butt down. It's going to be a tough play. Chen just not in time. Not in time to get Leonis at first. Looked for a second like he might have gotten the ball there quickly enough, but nope. He did not. And Leonis Martin with the base hit. James Hoy making the call at first. And Buck Showalter is telling John Tumpain, the home plate umpire, hang on a second. I want to have guys look at it.
Well, Leonis, when he lays the bunt down, it looks like he's going to be out until the last. That's going to stand, I think. I hope. Last few steps just seems to outrun the ball right there at the end. I'm thinking Buck might let this one go.
Buck kind of walking up the steps and back down the steps, waiting to hear from the folks involved with the replay, the viewing of the replay.
Statutes of limitations are going to run out on this one.
Well, they've tried to hurry it up by allowing the managers not even to have to come out onto the field before they issue a challenge. And Buck said, nope, we're not going to do it. So it will be a bunt base hit for Leonis Martin. That is the 18th bunt single the Rangers have had this year. That's the most in the major leagues.
Probably going to see another bunt right here.
Hanser Alberto up for his second at bat. He grounded out to first base as he led the game off this evening. So a solo home run, a walk, a bunt single. Rangers have more going. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Alberto around to bunt, gets the bunt down to third. Machado on to first. The sacrifice goes 5-4. To third base is Chirinos. At second base, Martin, and Elvis Andrus coming up.
Very nice job by Hanser. Want to bunt it right straight to the third baseman. Unless they have the wheel play on, which kind of know ahead of time because they have to be moving. Make the third baseman field it. No one can cover third. You pretty much get an automatic sacrifice bunt.
No, second and third, one out. A run across here for the Rangers. The Orioles will pull the infield in about halfway. Got both cornermen, Parmalee at first, Machado at third, playing back behind their respective bags. You saw the middle infielders in front of double play depth, but not all the way in. And with Chirinos not having great speed at third, a hard hit ball, they can play back a little bit and still have time to make a play at the plate. Elvis, a sharply hit ground ball to short his first time. 0 for 1. Able to lay off that breaking ball. 2 balls, no strikes.
You got your head in the count. Trying to get a ball that you can hit in the air right here.
Elvis, a good month of June. Just capped it off a 274 average. That was after hitting the 230s the first 2 months. That's in the air, but it's not deep enough to right field as Chris Davis parks himself underneath it. Chirinos not even bothering to tag. That's out number 2. Still second and third, and Prince Fielder not coming out.
Just hate to waste those opportunities when you have a chance to get a sacrifice fly. And on that pitch, J.J. Hardy had moved back deep at shortstop, so even a ground ball to the left side would have scored a run right there. But you've got the middle of the order right here, and not a better guy to have in this situation with ducks on the pond than Prince Fielder.
The scouting reports have told the Orioles that you don't need to overshift in a run-producing situation with Fielder up there. They're playing him pretty much straight away.
Yeah, all the way around.
Yeah,
infield and outfield.
A ground ball to the right side, cut off by Flaherty. And Chen's going to get out of a difficult situation with just 1 run. And that came on Shin-Shu Chu's leadoff home run. We have played 2.5 here in Baltimore. It's the Rangers 1 and the Orioles nothing. Fields of Fashion pregame event. Your ticket includes a pregame buffet in the Hall of Fame, a merchandise goodie bag worth $75, a question and answer session with Rangers wives, and 15% off Rangers merchandise and 15% off Kendra Scott jewelry. A ticket to the ball game against the Astros and a whole lot more. Visit TexasRangers.com/fashion to learn more and to get your tickets. Nick Martinez now with a 1-0 lead to protect. He is dealing to Caleb Joseph, be followed by Ryan Flaherty and Manny Machado. Joseph, a .238 hitter, goes to right field, and Chu will back up a few steps, but with room. One gone. And Flaherty to be next.
Cubs have a shout out. Tony Ross from Highland Village is at the ballpark. Wants to say hi to his grandsons Max and Chase in Tyler, Texas, and his nephews Brady and Mason in Tyler, Texas. He also has a special shout out. Wants to say hi in Tony's words to his still smoking hot wife Rosie. So,
oh, good.
Hi, Rosie, from Tony.
Maybe she's not happy with him for being here. He's trying to butter her up.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right. We're happy to do that for you. Ryan Flaherty taking the next pitch, low and outside from Nick Martinez. 1 ball and 1 strike. Flaherty, the number 9 hitter, .246 average with 3 home runs and 20 driven in. Nick working quickly back to the plate. Was fouled out of play to the left. Mentioned Nick last time out against the Blue Jays. Had his roughest outing of the year. Just 6 innings, gave up 9 runs, 8 of them earned in 6 innings of work. He is trying to get that out of his head, which he has done very effectively here. There's 2 1/3 innings, giving up 1 hit, 1 walk, and he's had a couple of strikeouts. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Leonis Martin ranging to left center field. He is there, and that is out number 2. That'll take the Orioles back to the top of the order from Manny Machado. Well, folks, it's time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag Southwest Data Strong Fan, and you might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you, as always, the fun place at T-Mobile. They're doing that right now. Texting their strongest fan photo. Manny Machado went down swinging the first time that he faced Nick Martinez. And takes that breaking ball inside, ball 1. Machado, a 12-game hitting streak intact as he enters play here tonight. 2 balls, no strikes. Here we go. Looking through those fan photos. Trying to get one that's keeping. Nick to the line, the 2-0 pitch. That shot out of play. Machado had a great month of June. Just completed 30 days. He was the leader in the American League with 42 hits. Finished second with a .365 average. Beltre plays the better hop on across the diamond, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. First time that Nick Martinez has sent the Orioles down in order. We've finished 3. Rangers leading 1-0. fans will get a Michael Young bobblehead, courtesy of Globe Life. It's your last chance to see the Rangers before the All-Star break, so don't wait. Get your tickets now. Visit TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. Fourth inning, Adrian Beltre starting things off. Wei-Yin Chen deals strike one. Beltre a pop out the first time that he faced Chen. Rangers with 2 hits. One of them left the ballpark. That was Shin-Soo Chu's, the 11th home run of the year. 1 ball and 1 strike to Beltre. Adrian, a .254 average. Line drive to right. Davis playing shallow. Almost had it to go over his head. And Chris, with a huge wingspan, able to reach up and pluck it as it went over it.
Yeah, that ball was hit a little harder than Chris thought. The angle that he took at that ball, I think, anticipated he was going to be able to catch it about waist high. And he misjudged it slightly, but not enough. And he was able to lunge and make the play on it.
Any normal-sized person would still be chasing that.
Yep.
Well, one very loud out. Here's Mitch Moreland. It's fouled back and out of play. Moreland a strikeout. His first time up. The only strikeout that Chen has recorded was the left-hander hitting Moreland. Chen, a soon-to-be 30-year-old. He's from Taiwan. The Orioles signed him as a free agent back in 2012, January of 2012. He's done an outstanding job pitching for Baltimore. 16 wins year before last. 0-2 pitch to Mitch. It's poked out of play down the left side. Excuse me, I said 2 years ago. It was last year that he had 16 wins. Had 7 2 years ago. First year in 2012, he was a 12-game winner. Another 0-2 pitch. A little topper down the first baseline is foul. Chen with the second most wins in the major leagues of any Taiwanese pitcher. The Taiwan is trailing only Wei-Yin Chen of Yankee fame. And Moreland rounds out, 2 gone. Shortstop Hardy handling that one. And Ryan Ruo will be next. Ruo, fly ball to fairly deep left field that ended the second inning for the Rangers. Ruo came in hitting at 182. That's dropped down to 178 now. Chen back to him. And the pitch is hit in the air to right field. Hit pretty deep. Davis is going back. Got turned around. He's at the wall. And that ball is gone. Wow. A home run off the covering of the area where the grounds crew stays. And it's a home run to the opposite field for Ryan Ruo. It's 2-0 Rangers.
Well, Ryan just missed a home run his first time up the left field. Caught at the warning track. This was a little bit like the one Mitch hit last night. It looked like he hit it okay, and all of a sudden you see Chris turned around in right field, and there it goes right out of the ballpark. The Rangers keep the long ball express going.
Hey, Buck is going to go out and ask for an umpire review on whether that ball cleared the wall or not.
Let's take a look.
Right on top of that covering. There is no line out there, so I don't know. I assume that is
that's in the ballpark.
In the ball is in the ballpark.
I wouldn't think so. I don't know. I don't know what the ground rule is on that.
We'll have to wait for an explanation. The umpiring crew will get together with the folks in the replay command center and have them take a look at it. John Hirschbeck, the crew chief.
I'll just give him an inside the park home run. Then they never tagged him. You can see where it hit. It right on the edge, right on top of the covering, on top of the groundskeeper's little habitat out there.
Yeah. Okay, now the ground rules for Camden Yards says a fly ball hitting a grounds crew shed roof in right field and bouncing back into play is a home run.
Okay, this should be a home run then.
So did it hit the roof or did it hit the padding that's part of the wall? I can't tell you.
I thought it hit on top of that.
If it hit the roof itself and it bounced back and play, it is a home run. If it hit the padding that's part of the front of it, no. It is going to be a home run. Okay. Well, that settles that. The umpire review clears it up, and Ryan Rule with his second home run of the year. And the Rangers have a 2-0 lead on a pair of solo home runs.
That's a little nerve-wracking minute and a half for Ryan Rule.
Yeah.
Sitting in the dugout, wondering whether you got to go back to second base. You know you've got a base hit, but sure would like to get the home run. And he did. Rangers just keep hitting the long ball.
That's 10 of them in the first 2.5 games in this series. And here's a man that has 3 of those 10 home runs. That would be Shin-Soo Choo. Go to our forward leaderboard. In the last 6 games, the Rangers have hit 14 home runs. Orioles have 9. They are 5 behind the Rangers in those 6 ball games. Twins have 8. Indians and Dodgers have 7. 14 home runs for the Rangers in the last week, less than a week. Jew now with 11 home runs for the year, and he hits one to left center field. Coming on Travis Snyder to make the grab, and that will do it. But Ryan Rua going the other way. Finds the promised land out there on top of the shed. Rangers with a run on a hit. Will go to the bottom of the 4th. Rangers now leading 2-0. Fans attending the interleague matchup with the San Diego Padres on Friday, July 10th will be treated to a post-game fireworks show. You can get discounted upper reserve tickets for July 10th using the online coupon code FIREWORKS at TexasRangers.com/specials. And a reminder for you, as long as we're talking about July and the 4th also, that tickets are running out quickly for the 4th of July. If you're planning on coming out to Globe Life Park and spending your 4th with the Rangers, you better get your tickets pretty quick because they're running low on reserved seats. Bottom of the fourth inning, Jimmy Paredes leading things off. He'll be followed by Adam Jones and Chris Davis. Rangers leading 2-0. Nick Martinez has allowed just one hit. He struck out Paredes in the first inning. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Nick's doing a good job early in the game of using his two-seam fastball. He's getting good sinking action on it. And the best 2 examples would be to Manny Machado. He struck him out in the first inning and then got him to hit weakly to third base as the last out of the third inning on that good sinker. And that's pretty much what you'd love to do in this ballpark. See the way the ball's jumping, at least for the Rangers it is.
Yeah.
Keep the ball down, make it sink, and let your infielders do the job for you.
That ball's hammered to right field. Chu is at the wall. That ball's gone. Well, the sinker didn't sink. Stayed up there. Paredes gave it a ride. His 10th home run of the year. That cuts the Ranger lead in half. It's 2-1. Texas.
The first time up with 2 strikes, Nick struck him out on a high fastball right at the top of the strike zone. Paredes didn't look like he was ready for it. And he was ready for that one. Trying to throw it down and in, and there it is, top of the strike zone. Just missed his target.
Yep.
Paredes having a nice season. 10th home run.
So here's Adam Jones, who doubled his first time.
There's the sinker where you want to keep it down and in.
Jones went out and got a slider and pulled it down the third base line for a 2-bagger his first time up. Jones now with a 3-game hitting streak. He's gone 3 for 9 in those 3 ball games. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, Adam Jones got off to a torrid start this year, here at home especially. Hit safely in his first 11 home games. He had a great month of April all the way around. To right field, Chu going back and reaches up to make the catch. And that ball looked like he got about halfway out there and somebody hit it again. Took off and Chu did a nice job of staying with it.
You see where that pitch was, and then you can see why Adam Jones is such a good hitter. Again, he doesn't walk, he swings at everything. That pitch was down, and he sliced it on a line all the way to the warning track. Nice play by Shin-Soo. Had a pretty good jump and ran that down. Nick likes it.
Yeah.
Hard hit out.
1 away now, Chris Davis takes low and outside for ball 1. Davis, a ground ball his first time up, right into the shift. Andrew Alberto, the second baseman, threw him out from medium right field. Davis trying to take the ball the other way and fouls it off. 1 ball, 1 strike. Chris, along with his 10-game hitting streak, has hit safely in 16 of his last 20. Been just about a 300 hitter in those games. High foul ball twisting back into the seats down the left side. Ryan Rua over to take a look, but it's 10 rows back. Nice crowd on hand here tonight. Looks to be a little larger than the first 2 crowds. Around 30,000 this evening. 1-2 pitch. That will even the count. Chris Davis, former Ranger, really has found a home for himself here in Baltimore. He takes high and tight. Chris has been here since the end of the 2011 season. And Tommy Hunter came over for Koji Uehara. Trade deadline that year. Martinez to the wind, the payoff pitch. Got him swinging. Here's that tailing fastball you're talking about, Tom. Got it down and away a little bit. And 3 strikeouts now for Nick.
Good movement on this pitch. Right where he wanted to throw it. Been a good pitch for Nick tonight. See the grip on it, which shows you that it is a two-seam fastball, and the movement caused the ball to sink right underneath the bat.
So 2 outs. Chris Parmalee, the hitter. Sorry.
No, I'm just going to say good job by Nick.
Yeah. Parmalee drew a walk leading off the second inning. That was the only free pass that Nick has issued tonight. Going down and getting one and driving it to right center. On the move, Leonis Martin, and stops shy of the track to put it away. That'll do it. Jimmy Paredes leads the inning off with his 10th home run of the year, a solo blast. We'll go to the 5th inning. Rangers by 1.
Inner Harbor, where Oriole Park at Camden Yards has been built. Whenever I go to any city, I try to eat as the locals do. And here in Baltimore, Maryland, that means you've got to eat steamed crab. Now, obviously, I've had crab cakes before. I've shown you that. We went to Bo Brooks, a famous place for steamed crab today. Evan Grant and I were there to tape a segment of Rangers Insider, and look at those crabs. I've never done this before, where you actually have a mallet and you have to break these things open. You have to extract your own meat from these crabs. It is, what I was told, a difficult process, but very worth it. And the meat is sweet, very well seasoned, as you could tell by the crabs and all the different seasonings on them. There's Evan and I. Now, he was doing a great job getting big, lumpy hunks of crab meat. I got to be honest with you, I wasn't doing very well. I didn't get much meat. Lots of tiny little bits of crab. But I don't want you guys to worry that I went hungry, because let me show you our appetizer. Our appetizer was a pretzel smothered in crab meat and then covered in cheese. So my arteries are still about to explode right now just from eating that thing. And it was delicious. So was the crab. It's just really hard to eat, guys. And here's the ironic part. The crabs. Hang on.
Okay, John.
As we fly out there, the crabs were flown in to us from Texas. They're from Galveston. It's too cold.
There you go.
It's too cold in the bay here this time of year. The crabs are too soft, so they were flown in from Galveston. Guys.
Wow. Yeah, if you're inexperienced cracking the crabs, it's a bad place to go if you're starving, because it just takes too long. It takes too long to get filled up. The pretzel with the cheese on it, though, that's a pretty good idea.
Leonis Martin, who had a bunt single his first time, thought he might try it again.
Question is, who paid for that meal? Did you get Evan to go with you because you were paying?
Evan got me to go because I was paying. Yeah, it's like, this is on Fox, right? Because it's for Rangers Insider on Friday night.
That's what I figured.
Woody and Chen with a 1-1 pitch. Shot at Machado. Oh, just picking that clean on one small hop. Nice play by the young third baseman. 2 gone.
Well, he's been a Gold Glover at third base in his very brief major league career. And the bad news is he made a great play on him, but the good news is it's a great swing and a good idea, and something that Leonis needs to do and hasn't been doing. That's go the other way with authority rather than pulling the ball on the ground to second base. So, you know, his teammates recognize that. And that's one where you don't get too concerned about being 0 for 1. The process, so to speak, worked that time, and that hopefully is a sign of things to come.
Yeah, good to see him going back to the dugout, guys high-fiving him, saying, hey, that's
good try.
Yeah, way to swing the bat.
He had a bunt hit his first time up, so Machado has to respect that. And against maybe a little lesser defensive player, maybe you shoot it right by him for a base hit.
Wei-Yin Chen working to Hanser Alberto. Hanser had a sacrifice bunt his last time up, and he skies one to center field. Adam Jones ambling in to make the catch, and that'll do it. Rangers out in order. And we're halfway through the ball game here in Baltimore. It's the Rangers 2, the Orioles 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. J.J. Hardy starting off the Oriole fifth inning, and Nick Martinez bends a breaking ball in for strike one. Hardy a pop out to his counterpart, Elvis Andrus, first time up. Slow breaking ball, and it's just off the outer edge. 1 ball and 1 strike. J.J. Hardy a .249 average as he faces Nick Martinez for the second time tonight. 2-1 now. Nick just 51 pitches to this point. He has been very economical, and being around the plate to an aggressive team, it doesn't take many pitches if once you get them start swinging the bat early in the count. That was what we were talking about, our progressive scouting report on Nick, and being aggressive against an aggressive team, you're kind of like fighting fire with fire, and it can work to your advantage. And the count has gone full now. J.J. Hardy leading off this fifth inning. He'll be followed by the left fielder, Travis Snyder. Nick's payoff pitch. Right off the plate. And yeah, on to Moreland for out number 1. Now before Travis Snyder steps in with 1 out and the bases empty, let's send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana, thank you. The Padres scuffling mightily.
Hey, we were talking about the Padres before the game. They won the National League West in the offseason. Everybody had all those moves adding up to certain pennant contention. It hadn't worked out that way so far.
1 ball, no strikes, and now Nick Martinez comes back with a good fastball to the outside corner. 1-1 to Travis Snyder, who grounded into a double play his first time up.
And Nick's been making a lot of good pitches with his sinker. He just kept the ball down to Hardy on all 6 of those pitches. Even when it got to 3-2, kept it down there, and Hardy chopped it right into the ground. That's a good sign. One of the pitches he got up today was the one that Paredes hit out of the ballpark. Haven't been many like that, though.
2-1 pitch coming. Now 2-2. Nick at 5-4 with a 3.39 ERA coming into play tonight. He got off that terrific start, the Ranger Player of the Month in April. That 2-0 mark and an 0.35 ERA, and he gets the strikeout of Travis Snyder, as Snyder couldn't get on top of that high fastball. 2 gone. No, our Kubota power stats tonight. Showing you Chris Sale. Well, you talk about power. How about these? 12 strikeouts last night again. That was against St. Louis. Second player in Major League history with 10 or more strikeouts in 8 straight games. He and Pedro Martinez, the only 2 to have that on their resumes. Fly ball to left field off the bat of Caleb Joseph, and that is going to be a quick and easy 1-2-3 frame for Nick Martinez, who's retired 6 straight. On to the 6th we go. 2-1 Texas. Brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is $2,100 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Glenn Listman of Haltom City, Texas, will win $2,100. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Glenn is going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, Glenn, hang on here a second. You've got the big guys coming up. Elvis Andrus will be followed by Prince Fielder, Adrian Beltre, and Mitch Moreland here in the Rangers' 6th inning. Rangers already 2 solo home runs tonight. One by Rua, one by Chu. And the first pitch to Elvis, who shows bunt. And Glenn Listman is sitting in Haltom City saying, do not bunt. Swing the bat. Elvis tonight, a ground ball to short, a fly ball to right. And then showing bunt. That time he was a little more serious about it. Pulled the bat back. The appeal down to James Hoyt just to make sure he didn't keep the bat out there too long. And A drive to right field. Davis retreating. 1 out. Next will be Prince Fielder. Wei-Yin Chen has given up a grand total of 3 hits tonight. 2 of them have left the ballpark, and that's the difference in the ball game. The only other hit that was not a home run, Leonis Martin had a bunt single in the 3rd inning. Prince Fielder tonight has popped out and grounded out.
Chen pitched out of a jam after the home run in the 3rd inning. Rangers had men on 2nd and 3rd after a sacrifice bunt, and Elvis's fly ball to right wasn't quite deep enough. And he got Prince to ground out to 2nd.
Again with the left-hander Chen on the mound, the Orioles are not overshifting, and Fielder lost a fly ball to left, hit pretty well but not carrying. And Travis Snyder able to make the grab. That's out number 2. Adrian Beltre now will come up. Beltre tonight has popped to short, line to right. Adrian 6 for his last 18 times to the plate. Starting to turn things around. We mentioned last night Adrian taking most of that protective padding off the bat. He still has it on the glove and taped around his, see the dark coloring around his left thumb. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Chen on the season now has given up 15 home runs. 12 of them have been to right-hand hitters, and 12 of them have been solo shots. All of them have come in the first 4 innings of the ball game. So if you're going to give up home runs, that's not an alarming number, but it's a fairly high number. If most of them are solo shots, you can pretty much live with that.
And the pitch is high. 3 balls and a strike to Adrian. Well, Beltre trying to extend this 6th inning. Mitch Moreland, Ranger first baseman, will follow. Chen reading the signs. The left-hander goes to the wine. And Beltre shooting it up the middle. Diving stop by Hardy from his knees. He throws. Not in time. Not in time to get Adrian. And just looking down at the Oriole dugout, Buck Showalter is perched close to the top step. Telling John Tumpain, I'm going to take a look at it.
That's going to stand.
Yeah.
Good call by first base umpire.
Adrian's foot on the bag before the ball impacted the back of the glove. So Beltre with the infield single. That's the 4th base hit off of Wei-Yin Chen tonight for the Rangers. And Mitch Moreland will come up 0 for 2. A strikeout and a ground ball to short. Mitch now 0 for 7 in his career against the left-hander Chen. 1 strike. Mitch on this road trip 7 for 21. 333 mark. Tom Toady, the Ranger player of the month for June. He had 323 for the month. High in the air to center. Retreating with room, Adam Jones. And that'll do it. Rangers get a 2-out single, but strand Beltre. After 5.5, it remains the Rangers 2, the Orioles 1. $7 upper reserve and upper box tickets. Plus, Papa John's is activating Rangers 7 special all day. Visit TexasRangers.com. Use the online coupon code 777 to get your tickets for the Diamondbacks and the Rangers game on July 7th. Plus, the first 15,000 fans 14 and older will also get a Rangers Hawaiian t-shirt. That's courtesy of Fox Sports Southwest. Ryan Flaherty to start things off here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Nick Martinez first pitch. Took something off. Flaherty looking fastball, didn't get it.
Had the same kind of movement that his sinkers had today, but it was 9 miles an hour slower.
Flaherty skied to center his first time to the plate. And drives one to left. Going back is Rua. Still going back. He pulls up. It's off the wall. The throw comes into second, but Ian standing with a double. Here's Ryan Flaherty. He didn't miss by more than a couple of feet of getting that ball out of here.
Well, he got it away, tailing away. Not quite as far down as a lot of his sinkers have been today. You don't have to hit it that well to get it off the wall at that part of the field.
Well, Flaherty with just the 3rd hit of the night off of Nick Martinez. He is at second, nobody out. Manny Machado with his 3rd at bat of the evening has struck out and grounded to 3rd. Pitch inside, and it's ball one. That was going to be a tough pitch for Machado to hit to the right side.
Unless he used his belt buckle to do it.
Could have done that. Martinez a couple of looks at second. And Machado into the glove of Beltre into left field. Stopping at 3rd is Flaherty. Well, that you will not see once in a blue moon. Adrian Beltre just had it go under his glove.
Yeah, your first reaction when you see the ball hit is good. Going to be one out, and the man's going to stay right at second base. Went right through the wickets. Lifted up, and the ball stayed down.
Well, the error charged Adrian Beltre. That is his 7th of the year. The runners at the corners and nobody out. Jimmy Paredes, the designated hitter, who homered his last time, will step in. Paredes 1 for 2, 10 home runs now, 37 RBI. Double play ground ball to Elvis for 1. The return is not in time. Paredes able to leg out the return throw. In to score is Flaherty. Now we've got a tie ball game.
Paredes got down the line pretty well. Not an extremely hard hit ball. And it took Hanser a while to turn and throw and get that ball to Elvis. It was a little bit long in his mind for a flip to second. But it took long enough where he beat it. Good job by Machado getting down there to disrupt the play at second base.
And Machado made it so that Elvis couldn't get a lot on that throw, keep his feet under him, and probably disrupted it as much as anything. So a 2-2 ball game now. Paredes at first. 1 out. Adam Jones at the plate is 1 for 2. Out of play to the first base side. Jones, a first inning double. Last time up. Line to right field. Nick, a check over his shoulder at first. Adam Jones was going to stop. He was going to swing and got caught right in between.
Excellent pitch, too. Good movement. Nick has made a lot of good pitches tonight.
That good sinking fastball going. And he will drive Paredes back with a throw. Nick peering in for the sign from Robinson Chirinos. High and tight, 1 ball, 2 strikes. You mentioned Nick 0-2 in his career against Baltimore. He's lost both times that he's faced them. First time was June of last year in Arlington. Gave up 6 runs in 5 1/3. Then the other ball game here a year ago today. Gave up 8 runs in 5 innings of work. Mike Maddox keeping a close eye on his 24-year-old right-hander. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Adam Jones. Now time call. And now Nick wants to have a face-to-face with Robinson Chirinos. The Orioles, 4th in the American League coming into play today in runs scored, 355. But they turned that offense up a couple of notches in June. They got things going, and they were floundering and toward the bottom of the division until they got hot in June, and all of a sudden they're tied for first, in a virtual tie for first. Slowly chopped foul by Jones. Still a ball and 2 strikes.
Here's where you want to keep that slider. 2 strikes on Jones, because he, as you saw right there, he will swing at it. If you hang it, he'll rip it.
As Nick found out in the first inning.
Yeah.
Jones back in. Nick Martinez. Again, a check of first. Double play ground ball to Beltre. To Alberto, back to Moreland. Around the horn they go. They get them both. And that'll do it. But the Orioles tie it up. They get a run on a hit, an error, and nobody left. On to the 7th, 2-2. Again, the home run playing a big part of it. Shin-Soo Choo leading off the 3rd with his 11th home run of the year. Rangers leading 1-0. Ryan Rua going the other way in the 4th inning. Just got it out of the ballpark. His 2nd home run of the year. 2-0 Rangers. And Jimmy Paredes, the solo home run, got the Orioles to within 1. They would score the tying run after an error on a fielder's choice ground out. 2-2 the score as we head to inning number 7. Ryan Rua 1 for 2 with that solo blast. And He takes strike one. Ryan, a 196 average now, a home run and 2 home runs, I should say, this year, and 2 runs driven in. Behind in the count very quickly, no balls, 2 strikes. Ryan had been sitting on the bench for the last 3 ball games. Started the first 2 games of this trip. 4 for 27 in his 7 starts since coming back off the disabled list. Had that ankle surgery, correct a fracture that healed. Way in, Chen to the wind, the 1-2. Rangers 2 runs on 4 hits tonight. The Orioles 2 runs on 3 hits. Rangers committed the only error of the ballgame. That figured into the scoring last half inning. Slowly hit by the mound. Machado, bare hand pickup, and he got it.
I don't know if there's an infielder with a better arm than Machado. I don't care what position he's playing. Machado was a shortstop in high school. He's got a cannon from over there.
The ball didn't stay in the air very long, did it?
You got to be ready if you're the first baseman, because he doesn't lob the ball over there even on routine plays.
Now, one away here is Shin-Soo Choo for his 3rd at bat. He got the breaking ball in for strike 1. Choo launched his 3rd home run in as many games. First time up. Up the middle, diving stop by Machado. Throws, got him. Boy, he is putting on a clinic on that left side of the infield.
Well, if you put him at shortstop, I don't think he'd skip a beat. He's got good range. You see the range there. The agility. And the definite arm strength. Got a Gold Glover at shortstop, though, and J.J. Hardy. I put him at 3rd base, and he became a Gold Glover over there himself.
That's a pretty tight left side of the infield they have going.
Sure is.
Well, Machado putting on a clinic this inning. Both ground balls he has made outstanding plays on. 2 up, 2 away. Here's Robinson Chirinos, who's 0 for 1. Changeup floats outside for ball 1. Chirinos got a walk back in the 3rd inning. In the 5th, he led off with the fly ball to left. And he pops this one up in his shallow right. At the second baseman, Flaherty angling out toward the line and just in fair territory puts it away. And that is a 1-2-3 inning. We'll take the stretch here at Oriole Park in Camden Yards, tied at 2. having gone into July, the first day of the month. Rangers and Orioles tonight, and again tomorrow night. Then it's back home to finish off the pre-All-Star game portion of the schedule. The Angels in for 3 over the big 4th of July weekend. Then the Diamondbacks in for a couple. And finally, the Padres come in for their only visit. They are there the 10th, 11th, and 12th at Globe Life Park. All-Star festivities begin on Monday the 13th. The game, of course, on the 14th in Cincinnati, only on Fox. Well, Chris Davis to start things off for the Orioles here in the 7th inning. A 2-2 ball game. And Davis takes inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Chris has grounded out and struck out in the 2 appearances against Nick Martinez. Davis with a .236 average. Ahead in the count now, 2-0. Nick Martinez still a very economical pitch total of 73 as he starts work here in the 7th inning. This is the best that Nick has thrown in his last several times out. Ground ball up the middle into center field, a base hit. Chris Davis, a leadoff single. Chris Parmalee coming up. We're going to send it back to Dana Larson for a Mazda game break. All right, Dana, thank you.
Sounds like a mess going on with the Angels, huh?
Boy.
Manager, general manager relationship.
Yeah. Last report, Jerry DiPoto resigned, and yeah, it is a mess. Well, being a former general manager, you've got to have a little empathy, I guess, with the guys involved in that.
Well, it's very, very difficult for an organization if 2 of the key people in the organization aren't on the same page.
The one is struggling to find that ball in the air way up there in the twilight. He finally did find it. That's out number 1.
We've got a veteran, savvy, highly successful manager in Mike Scioscia. A new general manager, relatively new, in Jerry DiPoto. Jerry was a player, was a pitcher. So, you would think they would be speaking the same language. But evidently some of the ideas that the front office had were ideas that weren't shared by the people down in the field. That's a problem.
1 out, J.J. Hardy up for his 3rd at bat. 1 ball, no strikes.
Puts the players in an impossible situation.
Yeah.
And they're working every day with the manager and the coaching staff to try to become better. And it just seems like the best way to get the instruction through to the players is through the manager and the coaching staff, not by bypassing them with the front office.
Hit and run on, and Hardy fouls off the pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, you have a chain of command set up for a reason, and once you start bypassing that, no matter who you are, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I don't recall it ever working out when you've allowed either the coach, either the manager or the general manager or the players to be bypassed in any of that stuff. Hardy a drive to deep left field. Rua at the wall. That ball's gone. And J.J. Hardy, more home runs than all but 1 shortstop in the last 8 years. And he cranks out his 4th of the year. It is a 4-2 Oriole lead.
Well, Nick's been doing a great job in this ball game of working down in the strike zone with his sinker. And boy, there's such a fine line between being successful doing that and just elevating the ball a little bit. The ball just jumps out of this ballpark, and not a terrible pitch at all. He was trying to get it down. It was down inside, had a little bit of sinking action, but maybe not quite enough. J.J. Hardy's, as you said, Buzz, he's hit a lot of home runs from the shortstop position. There's no doubt about that one. Shows you how fine you have to be with your command. You make not a terrible pitch, and it's still hit way out of the ballpark. Maybe needed to be in a little bit more, down a little bit more. It's not like it split the strike zone right down the middle of the plate.
J.J. Hardy, another home run as a shortstop. And you go back since 2011, Hardy has hit 90 home runs now. That's the second most among shortstops. 296 runs driven in. So that's not an accident. He's done that a few times. So the Orioles have a 4-2 lead. And Travis Snyder up there now fouling that pitch away, and it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Nick now need to get himself together. It looks like he's composed himself pretty quickly. Get Snyder, get out of this inning, and give the Rangers an opportunity to strike quickly again. They have done it before. That ball's rifled to right field, but it's hooking foul. And the only difference you can see, I think, in Nick Martinez right now, he's just starting to get the ball up a little bit in the strike zone, whereas that had not been a problem for the most part before. Could be a little bit of fatigue. Mike Maddox making a call out to the bullpen to get some action going out there. Pretty good pitch down there. Fouled away. Inning by inning, you can see nothing really jumps out at you. That's a very consistent pitch usage tonight for Nick Martinez. Certainly the total of 85, not alarming at all. Got him swinging. That is strikeout number 5. Second time that Nick has gotten Travis Snyder. So 2 gone, and Caleb Joseph will come up. Spencer Patton answered the phone call. He is up and throwing in the Ranger bullpen. Caleb Joseph, a couple of fly balls tonight. Once to right, once to left. Starts him off with a hook for strike 1. Joseph now 2 out of 6 in this series against the Rangers. Played in the opener on Monday night. Matt Wieters caught the ball game last night. Caleb Joseph back in there this evening. It's pulled foul, and the count moves to 1-2. Nick allowing 4 runs on 5 hits. He's working here with 2 outs in the 7th inning. Two and 2. Nick last time out snapped a string of 3 consecutive quality starts that he put up. This is low and outside, runs the count full to Caleb Joseph. Well, if Joseph extends this 7th inning, we have the number 9 man, Ryan Flaherty, due up next. But Nick really rebounded well, pitched extremely well, still is pitching well. Just in a close ball game, gave up the 2-run home run to J.J. Hardy. And a base hit to right for Caleb Joseph. So Joseph, with his first hit of the night, now has a 3-game hitting streak. Jeff Bannister talking to Mike Maddox. Mike poised to come on out and head out to the mound, give Nick Martinez an opportunity to catch his breath a little bit. It's been one of those innings that every other hitter has been able to reach base. And you get into a funk like that, and it seems like there's not nearly enough time spent on the guys that get outs as there is on the guys that get on base.
Well, if that holds true, then Flaherty should be out number 3.
You got no chance. Flaherty has no chance.
That's what I'm looking for.
Might as well just mail it in right now. Mike out there just to slow things down a little bit. Give Nick an opportunity to refocus what he has to do with Flaherty. Flaherty last time, you remember, drove the ball the other way, hit it almost out of the ballpark, doubling high off the wall and left. Came around to score the tying run. That was last inning. Up there now with Caleb Joseph at first and 2 outs. Sinking fastball just out of the strike zone. 1 ball, no strikes. Joseph getting that lead at first as Martinez checks him. 1-1. Mitt 2-0 with an 0.35 in April, 2-1 with a 3.25 ERA in May. June not so kind, just 1-3. And he drops that slow curveball in. And we probably have seen Nick throw more of those slow curveballs tonight than I can remember him throwing in most games.
A lot of them have been just like that, top of the strike zone, high pitches that the Orioles have taken.
1-2 now. Check swing, and the appeal down to third.
That was a good one. Sharp breaker down. Flaherty was able to stay off it.
That was Nick's 25th pitch of this inning. Now the 2-2. Elvis trying to throw after a 360, not in time. Well, that was a great get by Elvis Andrus. He did everything possible. I didn't think there's any way in the world that he'd have a play at all at first base, and he almost got him. And it looks like Jeff Bannister is going to come out and take Nick Martinez back to the bench with him. Well, despite the great defensive effort by Elvis, how in the world he ever got that aim toward first base in the first place, I'll never know. But that's going to do it for Nick Martinez. So a rough inning, not able to get that final out. He goes 6 2/3. Spencer Patton coming into the ball game, and while he makes his way in and take his warm-up tosses, we will take a timeout. We're back right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Become the Whataburger What-A-Fan. Come on out July 8th at 10:30 in the morning to the Whataburger at 311 West Camp Wisdom Road in Duncanville and sign up for a chance to win 4 lower-level tickets to the Rangers-Tigers game on September 30th. Plus, you might win a VIP tour of Globe Life Park. Come on out and meet Rubned at Whataburger. Well, Nick Martinez, 6 2/3 of innings of work tonight. Did a great job and just ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw here in the 7th. Gave up 4 hits and a couple of runs. Out of the ball game now in favor of Spencer Patton. Saw Patton here on Monday night. 27-year-old out of Urbana, Illinois. And this is his 6th appearance. This is his 3rd stint with the Rangers. He's asked to deal with Manny Machado with runners at 1st and 2nd and 2 away in the 7th inning. Orioles have taken a 4-2 lead. Spencer trying to keep it right there. 1 ball, no strikes. Machado has reached on an error, grounded out, and struck out. So his 12-game hitting streak on the line here. Batting mark at .304, 16 home runs, and 44 RBI. Elvis to the backhand, and he gets him. Good job by Spencer Patton. A couple of pitches. Machado retired. The Orioles out in the 7th, but they take the lead. 2 runs on 4 hits and 2 left. Is defensive tonight. In the 7th inning, Manny Machado takes care of Ryan Rua's ground ball. Now watch this. Shin-Soo Choo and Machado in the overshift playing at shortstop, basically. And what a play by Machado, showing you that Gold Glove form. That young man can really pick it over at 3rd base. Well, as we go to the 8th inning, David Lowe has come out of the Oriole dugout, taking over defensively in left field. He replaces Travis Snyder. And for the Rangers, Leonis Martin to lead things off. Martin 1 out of 2 with a bunt single. Wei-Yin Chen now with the lead for the first time tonight. And he deals strike 1.
Been a beautiful game by Chen. We talked about Chen earlier. He's 4-0. 1.67 ERA coming into the game against the Rangers. And he's pitching pretty much the same way today as he usually does against the Rangers. He was 16-6 last year for the Orioles, so he's been a solid guy for the Orioles, right in the middle of their rotation.
This is outside, 2-1 to Leonis. Martin, along with the bunt single, a base hit taken away from him by Machado. And he skies this one to shallow center. Flaherty going out. He's being called off by Adam Jones, the center fielder. 1 out and back to the top of the order. Folks, it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag #SouthwestData_StrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Hanser Alberto stepping in. Hanser 0 for 2 with the sacrifice bunt tonight. Wei-Yin Chen throwing strike 1. Well, he just does not waste any time up there, does he?
Nope, works quick, throws strikes.
1-1 the count. Alberto, a 257 average as he faces Chen here in the 8th inning. Nobody on, 1 out. Rangers trailing 4-2. That is shot foul down to the far end of the Ranger dugout. John Radigan made a play on. Nice play, John.
My scorebook off. My scorebook is okay.
And a chopper just outside the bag at first. Boy, after Alberto going as far left as you can go and as far right as you can go. Still a ball and 2 strikes. Chen into the wind. The left-hander deals. Got him swinging. Now for Chen, just his 2nd strikeout of the night.
Kind of elevates his fastball, hoping that you'll get the hitter to swing, and he did.
So 2 away. Elvis Andrus with his 4th at bat against Chen. Remember, we told you Elvis coming into play tonight, the best average against Chen in previous matchups. He gets fisted, a little pop-up. Parmalee at the railing, reaches in and can't make the play. Oriole Park at Camden Yards has a similar layout right down that line as we do at Globe Life Park in Arlington. The commissioner's box jutting out there. Difference here, though, there's some padding there. Parmalee able to kind of lean against that padding. And Elvis popping it foul again. This one further back into the seats. No balls, 2 strikes. But even Elvis tonight, as much success as he had against Chen coming into this ball game, an 0 for 3. Lined out to right last time. Down on the count, 0-2. Chen back to him. Down the left field line. It is heading toward the corner. It is foul.
Rangers really haven't had any rallies except the one in the 3rd inning. Had a couple of home runs. They had an infield hit in the 6th inning. But other than the rally after the home run in the 3rd, that's been it against Chen. The rally fizzled. They had a walk, a bunt single, sacrifice. Couldn't get the runner in from 3rd with less than 2 outs. Since Lewis' home run, they've only had 1 base runner. That was an infield hit by Beltre.
Backhanded by Parmalee. He will take it to the bag himself and wins that race. And it's another 1-2-3 inning. Chen now has retired 7 straight. 7.5 in the books. Orioles leading 4-2.
As we get ready to play the bottom of the 8th inning, when the Rangers come to bat in the 9th, they will have the heart of the order coming to the plate. But first things first, the bottom of the 8th, and then after that, it'll be next things next, which is the next and final game of this series. Shin-Soo Choo trying to make it a home run in 4 straight games. He's hit one in 3 straight for the first time for him since April of 2013. AT&T U-verse reminds you to check out tomorrow's game. It's right here, same time, same station. Guys, back up to you.
All right, John, thank you. Jimmy Paredes leading things off against Spencer Patton. Patton came on to get the final out of the 7th inning in relief of Nick Martinez. Spencer got the ground ball from Manny Machado. 1 ball and 1 strike to Paredes, who has homered. He's also driven in a run on a fielder's choice. And he lines one to right field. That's going to settle in for a single. Well, Paredes a multi-hit game. His 2nd hit of the night, aboard to start the 8th inning. Well, folks, the Coca-Cola family packs offer some of the best savings this season. You can save nearly 50% on 4 tickets, 4 jumbo hot dogs, 4 Coke soft drinks, 2 Kid Zones wristbands, and 1 souvenir program. Visit TexasRangers.com/specials to get your Coca-Cola family packs. A 1 on, nobody out in the 8th inning, and Adam Jones, who is 1 for 3, steps in. Jones, a 1st inning double, since then is lined to right and grounded into a double play. Patton with a high set. Jones coming out of his shoes to go after that hanger. Patton slider staying up there, and Adam Jones probably had his eyeballs get about as big as a dollar.
He had a shot at it.
Yeah, he did.
Might have tried a little too hard to hit that one. His head's flying, his body's flying. Stayed up though.
He was trying to hit that toward Philadelphia.
Carlos Gomez, everything but his helmet flying off.
If I remember right, there were a few people that didn't really appreciate Carlos Gomez doing that.
Yeah, I think when he first started doing it, they felt that way, but now it pretty much, I think it's accepted just because he does it so much. They showed him doing it the other day. They were playing the Twins, and Torrey Hunter was playing out in right field, and he was kind of imitating him and laughing and making fun of him. Carlos Gomez went in the dugout and kind of taped his helmet around his chin and came out and pointed to him. So they looked like, at least in that game, they were having a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
With it. I don't know if everybody takes it quite that way. Very nice pitch from Spencer. Spencer's throwing the ball pretty well.
Yes, he is.
Paredes got on, hit a fastball, a changeup off the end of the bat into right field.
Jones behind in the count 0-2, and Patton pinpointing that fastball just out of the zone. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Spencer Patton, the 27-year-old, came over from the Kansas City organization in exchange for Jason Frazier almost a year ago. It's right off the fist, and that's going to be a problem. Adrian's going to stick it in his pocket after he takes a look at it. An infield hit for Adam Jones. There are 2 on with nobody out. Chris Davis coming up.
Oh, that's too bad. He'd thrown a couple of fastballs down and away, and as a hitter, you're aware of that. Then he came in with a good sinker, hit him right off the hands, just like you'd like to. Hope he hits it for a double play, but he hit it so much off the handle it didn't roll fast enough to even make an out on it. Any out, let alone a double play.
Now with Davis coming up, got Bannister on his way to the mound, and he's going to summon the left-hander Sam Freeman to come on into the ball game. So Spencer Patton out now after a 1/3 of an inning, a couple of hits. The runners on base, his responsibility. Sam Freeman coming in while he makes it to the mound. We'll take a timeout. We're back right after this. They all happen in one place. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game on Tuesday, July 14th, only on Fox. And don't forget to visit TexasRangers.com/vote to send Fielder, Beltre, and Moreland to the game. A 2-on with nobody out here in the 8th inning. Sam Freeman coming into the ball game for his 21st appearance of the year. Sam facing the left-handed hitting Chris Davis. Saw Sam here on Monday night. Worked an inning and struck out the side very quickly as he fanned 3 and got out of Dodge. First pitch is a bit low to Chris Davis. Davis 1 for 3 tonight. He extended his hitting streak to a season-best 11 ball games. That was with a 7th inning single. Got Paredes at second, Adam Jones at first. 2 balls, no strikes. Rangers in an overshift. Our Fox tracker showing you that either one of those could have been called a strike.
Yep. Might have been last night.
Certainly would have been on Monday night.
Was that John Hirschbeck?
Yeah.
That's the night I was thinking of.
2-1. John Hirschbeck had a very low strike zone. He was willing to call the very low strike. Last night, Bill Welke wasn't quite as adamant about that, but occasionally.
That's the night Wandy Rodriguez got into it a little bit. It was quieted down really quickly with John. Boy, if you're a pitcher and you get into an argument with John Hirschbeck, you're making a bad mistake.
Yeah, you really are. Wandy.
Carlos Corporan and Jeff Bannister came out, got in the middle of it, quieted things down. No damage was done.
Davis lines it foul down the left side.
Good fastball, 95 miles an hour by Sam. Obviously a key part of the game. Orioles have a great closer. Chen is throwing very well. Might be able to get 2, but it's tough to get more than that, so we can shut this rally down right now.
Sam Freeman pretty consistent in that lower part of the strike zone. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Chris Davis. Call strike 3. Nailed down the outside corner knee high. Chris Davis didn't think so, and he lets John Champagne know. But that is a one very big out.
Great fastball, too. Right where he wanted to throw it at 96 miles an hour. At the bottom of the strike zone, right where all the other ones were, too.
Yeah, and I think that's when, as an umpire, that you open yourself up for hitters not agreeing with you. You don't call the pitch a couple of times, and then you do call it when you get 2 strikes on you. A hitter's got every legitimate right to say, hey, what are you doing? At least be consistent with it. But it's not exactly the letter of the law that you're ignoring. It's your own interpretation of what the strike zone is.
And the umpire said, okay, well, I'll call you out on the one before it next time then. I won't let you get that far.
And that's kind of a no-win situation for the hitter?
No. What you're saying is I think what any hitter wants is the pitches to be called consistently so you have a good idea when to swing and when to take it.
0-2 the count to Chris Parmalee. Parmalee has walked a couple of times, has flied out. 2 on, 1 out. Sam Freeman.
That's some good stuff he's featuring tonight. And he threw the ball great when he struck out the side the other night, but he's throwing even better right now. Oh, 96-mile-an-hour fastball and that hard slider. You can become a force left-handed coming out of the bullpen to face left-handed hitters. That would have been a force if it wasn't in a minute, too. Man.
Parmalee getting up, and he's worked you away, and all of a sudden 1 and 2 he comes down and in. It's a little tough at 96 to get your feet out of the way anyway.
see disabled list going through your mind on that one.
That's a surgery pitch for a hitter. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Got him swinging. Went up with the fastball. That is 5 straight strikeouts now for Sam Freeman against these Orioles. 2 gone. And J.J. Hardy coming up.
And the good thing about being a guy like Sam with the kind of stuff that he's got, the manager doesn't have to go, oh no, here comes a right-hand hitter.
Yeah.
Because if you're featuring a 96-mile-an-hour fastball with a hard breaking ball and you're making your pitches, you're going to get right-hand hitters out just as consistently. Lefties didn't have much chance. And if you make the same pitches, you'll have pretty good success against the right-hand hitter too.
J.J. Hardy, the big swing of the night for the Orioles. A 2-run home run in the 7th inning. That is the difference in the ball game right now. And he's got runners at first and second, and 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Now Hardy 1 for 3, now with 4 home runs and 20 RBI. He has Jimmy Paredes out there at second, Adam Jones at first. Both aboard via the single to start the inning. 1-0 pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Sam Freeman, the 27-year-old left-hander out of Hebron High School in Carrollton. Left-hander coming back to the plate. Beltre flags it down, goes the short way, and that'll do it. A nice job by Sam Freeman. Nothing across for the Orioles. They strand 2. We're going to the ninth. 4-2 Baltimore. Orioles leading the Rangers, and as we go to the 9th inning, Wei-Yin Chen's night is over, and he worked 8 very effective innings. Leading 4-2, and Zach Britton out of Weatherford, Texas, hard-throwing left-hander on now, and he is the save leader with 22 out of 23 for the Orioles. Prince Fielder, who faced Britton in last night's game, Zach came in and worked the 9th inning, got Fielder to ground to shortstop. And Prince leading off his hitting streak, which stands at 9, on the line right here. He is 0 for 3 this evening. A pop out, a fly out, and a ground out.
Well, Ranger hitters are going to get a chance to see a left-hander with the same kind of stuff that Sam Freeman has, only with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball that has extreme sinking action to it to go along with it. He not only has the velocity, but he has the movement.
Well, I don't know how you throw as hard as Britton does and have the ball sink that much. Call strike 3.
Also have no idea how you could possibly hit it.
Yep.
The second one really sank. The others had his normal sinking action. That second one was amazing. That was just well located right near the outside corner.
Well, 1 out, and now Zach Britton will face Adrian Beltre. Beltre has had a reasonable degree of success against Britton. He's 3 for 6 in his career. Adrian has hit 2 home runs against the left-hander. And Britton dropping in the curveball and just tipping his cap to Beltre for the past. Adrian tonight 1 for 3 at an infield single in the 6th inning. He has been the only base runner the Rangers have had in the last 4 innings plus 1 hitter. 1-1. Wei-Yin Chen in line to go to a perfect 5-0 against the Rangers in his career. Two balls and a strike. Beltre, a deep breath. Getting back in there, ready to go to work. Adrian, along with the infield single, is lined to right, popped to short. 2-2. There are the numbers we talked about. Adrian Beltre 3 for 6 against Zach Britton. Britton reading the signs. The left-hander's ready to go. The 2-2 pitch. Call strike 3. Down and in at 96 or so. Back-to-back strikeouts, 2 away.
That's almost the exact same pitch to a different side hitter as the one to Prince Fielder. Probably would have been right on top of it. Of course, it's outside the Prince, inside the Adrian.
Right.
Boy, when this guy's at the top of his game, you just have to hope he can swing and somehow make some contact and get a hit. That's some dominating stuff.
Mitch Moreland takes a strike. Moreland tonight is flied out, grounded out, and struck out. Pitch hitting at an even, or almost an even 300, 301. Just a click over the 300 mark. And looking at a breaking ball, it's 1-1. This for Mitch. First at bat he's had against Zach Britton in the regular season. Left-hander with a 1-1 pitch. 2 balls and a strike. The Fox tracker showing you Britton. A concerted effort to keep the ball away from both left-handed hitters. Prince Fielder and now Mitch Moreland. Two and 2. Wei-Yin Chen and the Orioles on the verge of stopping their mini 2-game slide and breaking the Rangers' mini 2-game win streak. The 2-2 pitch. Got him swung up, foul tip. Joseph couldn't hold on, and Mitch has a little bit of life left. Crowd here at Oriole Park and Camden Yards on their feet. Britton set. Another 2-2. Britton comes in and gets his 23rd save of the year by striking out all 3 Rangers. He has Fielder, Beltre, and Moreland, and the Rangers dropped one tonight to the Orioles, 4-2. The final score. Wei-Yin Chen evens his overall record at 4-4, and he is now 5-0 for the Orioles against the Texas Rangers. A.J. Hardy at the big blast of the night, a 2-run home run in the 7th inning to break a 2-2 tie.